Welcome back to the Mouse and Men, where we explore the grown-up side of Disney. Be sure to visit us online at themouseandmen.com, where you can find a top 10 things for grown-ups to do in Walt Disney World. And while you're there, find links to all of our social media profiles, so you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, where we broadcast the podcast, all of that lovely stuff. You can also contact us there or just email us podcast@themouseandmen.com. I am co-host Bradley. I'm here with co-host Chris. Chris, welcome back.
I'm back. Yes. Feels good to be back on the mics, brother.
Yeah, you're over today, there, man? Like Chris hulking it, and I love it.
I'm all about the MCU universe now. I am just completely sold out. I mean, I've watched each one of the movies as they came out in theaters.
Yeah.
But especially, and I know that we're going to get to this soon, but especially since the launch of WandaVision, my wife and I, we've gone back, we've watched them all based on your recommendation to go watch all the movies in cinematic order, like the timeline order. We've done that. Like we are Marvel fans now. Whereas before now, I'm like, yeah, I enjoy taking my family to those movies, but now it's like, we're into the lore, we're into the whole thing. So I got a lot to talk about there. And so, yeah, I may be hulking out a little bit, but it's less of like anger and rage and more of just like, yeah, excitement, because we've got some exciting news coming up in the Disney universe as well.
Yeah. So today, a different kind of episode. We haven't done one of these before. This is more of a newsreel, just kind of recap of what's been going on in the Disney company as of late. So let's jump right into it. First, the big news out of California is that it looks like Disneyland is going to be opening up as early as April 1st if everything stays on track.
Yeah. Oh, wait a second, though. April 1st, though, is this Disney setting us up for some sort of April Fool's joke? Because that would just be tasteless at this point, how long they've been off of their game over there in California.
Yeah, that would be cruel and unusual punishment for all those Diz nerds. Hopefully that is not the case. Hopefully it is just, hey, April 1st, it's a new quarter. Let's open things back up. Chris, you're telling me California Adventure, the second park out in California, has been open, but really it's just for special events. Is that right? I mean, you can kind of walk around and see stuff, but you can't ride any rides.
Yeah, most of the rides are closed. There is some sort of rule in California, and I don't know exactly what this rule is, but it entails parks of a certain size can start to reopen and introduce guests back into their parks. And even though Disney in the Anaheim area has both Disneyland and California Adventure is a smaller park size-wise, and so it falls under the criteria of being able to reopen, even though it can't really have the rides going. But Disneyland, because of its size, falls outside of that and has to remain closed until the hopeful, that is not April Fool's joke, but the April 1st day. But the interesting thing is that at California Adventure right now, they have a lot of crowds and a lot of lines, but they're going and paying $75 a head, but they have no rides to go ride. And so it's essentially, they have missed Disney and Disneyland or California Adventure so much that they were willing to pay $75 a head to just go walk around and to get a sourdough bread bowl or a Dole Whip, if they even sell them in California Adventure somewhere. They just want to be in the park so much, and I can't really blame them. Yeah. But it's interesting that the ticket prices include getting in, but not riding any of the experience rides. So that's interesting. I may be tempted to do it. And especially in the fact that we report and talk on Disney things. If I was in the Southern California area, I may be tempted to do it, to then come back and report on this. But it is interesting that people will pay $75 a head just to walk around.
Road trip, maybe?
No? Yeah, I'm kind of willing to do it. Yeah.
Let's figure out what's going on. But it is very interesting news. It's promising news. It seems like things are starting to get back to normal. I know down at Disney World, spring break is kicking off with with limited capacity at parks and having to reserve your spot in the park ahead of time, it appears those capacities are being maxed out already, correct?
Yeah. Everything that I've read says that spring break, they've already maxed out capacity for those dates. And so for me and my people, spring break will fall next week as far as the school calendar goes. But Disney World, because they've been up since July?
Yeah.
And in some capacity, limited capacity, that they are getting to the point now where they're letting in more and more people. And people have booked out their vacations. They're going to be there. They're going to fill that place up. So I don't know exactly what the percentage limitation is for Walt Disney World as far as how many people can get in, but the amount of people that they can allow completely maxed out already. So if this doesn't talk to you about how much people are craving Disney and just being in the presence of those areas that you fall in love with at either Disney World or the Disneyland properties, that people are craving it and want to get back out again. So I'm so happy that California Adventure right now is open. Disneyland has a plan to open up. Disney World is maxed to capacity. Like we're hitting all of these things to mean that we will all eventually be able to enjoy Disney the way that we used to be able to pre-pandemic. And I just hope that it continues to unfold in a positive way.
Well, I credit our interview with Jonathan Alvarado a few weeks ago, because he was the one who said he feels safer at Disney every day working there than he does going to the grocery store. So I think, I don't know, I think a couple million people listened to that, said, we're going to Walt Disney World for spring break, and Disney, if you just want to send us some royalties, we're not going to say no. Just 1% of 1% of ticket sales or something, whatever works. But that is promising news. I know schools here are doing much better. I don't think it's from like improved hygiene or social distancing practices. I think it's just, as warmer weather is sweeping across the country, things are starting to look a little bit better. Vaccines definitely helping. So, here we go. Let's get back on the Disney train.
Yeah, and to echo something that you were just mentioning, and something that I just fell in love with when we were talking to Jonathan a few weeks ago, was the 4 keys that we went and then dedicated a full episode on, talking about how Disney cast members or Disney workers, Disney Imagineers, whoever they may be falling under that Disney banner, that they all have the same 4 criteria as to how they as a corporation, as a conglomeration, move forward to try to give us, the people that are going to experience something, the best possible situation. And that number one element of those 4 keys is safety. And I even saw something just last week of Disney iterating in the moment to try to make sure that people stay as safe as possible. And I know that for some of the the people going to the Disney parks, it would have been a bit of a bummer, but they went like, you can go, you just have to keep your mask on unless you're eating. And then they realized that maybe this was a little too lax. And so you can go as long as you keep your mask on, except for while you are literally eating a bite or taking a sip. And then while you're chewing or whatever, you have to put your masks back on. So a big, huge corporation like Disney with a lot of moving parts. I mean, I think that they are the largest California-owned business out there. Like they're larger than Tesla. They're larger than all those other California-based businesses. And so that such a large company can make quick movements and iterations for people's safety, I feel like that the smaller businesses can do it too. And so I hope that Disney continues to lead the charge of safety so that they can get back up to full speed. And then all of the rest of the businesses throughout America and the world even can start to follow suit and get back to a place where we can have a new normal post-pandemic and go about our world very soon.
Well, speaking of new normal, are we seeing a new normal trend for movie releases from Disney? So here's what happened. Raya and the Last Dragon was released this last week. It was released in theaters, believe it or not, in theaters. And at the same time released on Disney Plus with Premier Access. So if you have a movie theater open, or I know that some movie theaters, you can rent it out for like $300. You can rent out an entire theater and watch a new movie like Raya and the Lost Dragon. So you get a few friends together, and now all of a sudden this price point seems to be pretty good. Or you spend $30 and you watch it at home. Is this the future of movie releases? I mean, $30 for an entire family, where if you're taking a family of 4 plus popcorn and drinks and candy, you're looking north of, $100 a lot of times.
Preach it, brother. I am one of those that have fallen into that category for the last several years. My family and I, we are all big movie fans. We love going to theaters. We love getting our popcorn and our snacks and our drink and sitting down and watching it on the huge screen and doing it together. We even have pre-movie traditions that we all get there in time to watch all the previews. And as the previews are going, all 4 of us will sit there and we'll thumbs up or thumbs down the new previews to see, like, is this a movie we're all going to go see? And if we get a consensus, we all go. If we get mostly consensus, then maybe we'll drag the one that doesn't want to watch it. But if we get 50% or below, we're like, we'll watch it at home when it becomes a movie to watch on all the services that we subscribe to. And so we, as the Murphy family, we love the movie theater experience. And it pains me to see the way that the industry is leading. And it seems like a way that the industry was probably going to be heading anyway. The pandemic just pushed fast forward on this new world order, where you can watch a first run new release at home on your TV as easily, if not more easy, than you can go into the theater these days. So I feel, unfortunately, like it's a trend that will continue until the movie theaters, or maybe what we thought about like landlines or phone books or something like that, like this neat piece of nostalgia from the past that none of us really do anymore.
Yeah. It's the thing that differentiates the movie theater from watching it at home is the experience, because the movie itself doesn't change. I mean, you've even got 3D TVs and stuff that you can watch 3D movies at home. So it's all about really having a screen so big that you're just really engulfed in it. Some of the best surround sound systems you can get. I'm blanking. Is it Dolby Atmos? There's Dolby has a 64 channel surround sound. It may even be more than that in some theaters, where, I mean, it's not just, front corners, center, and back corners. It is just completely surrounding you with lots of speakers. That, having these big everybody gets a recliner. In my house, my wife and I sometimes fight over the recliner. But in these movie theaters now, everybody gets their own recliner with, dinner right there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can get Ruth's Chris delivered or what, but it seems like that's kind of where it's going. It's differentiating itself in the experience.
Yeah.
So I think movie theaters, maybe it's just not everybody's going every week, but maybe you do that, because I got to admit, with a little one running around, it's so much easier to just turn on a movie at home and let him run around and play, because he's not going to pay attention. Sure. And be able to pause it. Okay, blow out in the corner. We need to go clean him up. Pause the movie and go clean him up and come back. So, I mean, just different strokes for different blokes, but I like this idea. I have not tried Premier Access with Mulan or Raya and the Last Dragon, but I might be tempted, especially if, I don't know, a new Pirates of the Caribbean, which I don't think is happening. But a new Pirates of the Caribbean.
Something that really speaks to you. Yeah.
Yeah. If my son was a little bit older and really wanted to see Raya and the Last Dragon, maybe it happened. But but I like it.
I do too. The convenience factor I really like that I can watch it. I can like click off of here right now and go watch the movie if I wanted to. When my daughter was clicking through Disney Plus the other day, she saw that Raya was on there. And so we watched the preview, and man, both of us were like, yeah, we want to watch this movie. And then when she saw it was $30, she kind of looked at me like, Dad. And she's usually one that money doesn't matter to her. She knows that Dad is going to, Dad is like an ATM to her kind of thing. But she looked over at me and she was like, why do we have to pay an extra $30 when we're paying for this already through Disney Plus? And I was like, well, they're some people like HBO Max. You can go watch the Tom and Jerry movie right now and not have to pay those extra fees. But then they're also releasing it in theaters too. But I was telling her kind of what you were saying, that like $30 for all four of us to sit on the couch and watch this movie together is way cheaper than it would be if I took all of us to the movie theater. So $30 versus, I don't know, probably a minimum of, if we're going to watch it on a decent screen and all get a snack, that's $100 plus right there, just for the four of us. So it's a good value.
I also wonder how many people are going to watch something on Disney Plus Premier Access and then say, that was good, I want to go see it in theaters. Maybe it convinces some people to spend twice. Now, is that going to make up for the people who just watch it on Premier Access? I don't know. But it's an interesting model. An interesting thing about that model too is it released on Friday, I believe, and Friday Disney Plus was having some issues.
Yeah.
So it crashed from everybody flocking to the app. Look, Raya and the Last Dragon was not the only thing released. Disney has brought us back to, instead of having an entire series ready, just binge ready upon release, they're making us wait and making us watch one episode at a time. Really interesting. I'm loving it. I don't have time to sit down and binge an entire show like I used to. So being able to just get one episode a week is great. But so many people were logging on to Disney Plus that it crashed.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the first issue that they've had with their service going down for a bit, but I did read something to the effect of they are assuming that when people are trying to use Disney Plus from an unsupported device, that there are just enough of those out there to where it messes with how the stream goes out. And so somehow there was an error that happened and they were able to get it rectified. And I actually was able to watch WandaVision on Friday, but never received any kind of error message. Thank goodness. But yeah, it is interesting because if they are training us, the consumer, to all go there, especially for appointment viewing, like I agree on Netflix, when they release all 8 or 10 episodes of a show on the same day, it's nice, but it's overwhelming. But for those that are really committed to it, then they have something to talk about with their other committed people really quickly. Whereas with WandaVision, episode after episode, we had to wait. And, there would be some place in the week where my wife would look at me and go, is it Friday yet? Because we really want WandaVision. It became such appointment viewing to us that it felt like it was, 10 years ago watching a show where you didn't have the option of just, cramming it all in a long weekend or something. So yeah. I kind of like it. You?
I love it. It gives, if I have to binge an entire series, if I get just a little bit behind, it takes a long time to catch up because everybody else is still in front of me, moving ahead. Where just this weekly release, if I get behind one episode, big deal. I watch 2 this Friday and I'm caught back up. So I do like it from that aspect. So Disney Plus, keep just doing the weekly releases. I love it. I love seeing new to Disney Plus change every week. It's fun to see what's new. But let's talk about WandaVision for just a second.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's going to be a season 2 of WandaVision? I was looking it up. It's split pretty 50-50 on the internet.
Yeah.
Chris, what are your thoughts? All
right. So I have a definite thought. And and it's interesting the way that Disney has done this. But for one, I don't think that there's going to be a season 2 for WandaVision. And my thought behind that was twofold. One, the last episode is called, well, it's so hard because I know that we're going to do a whole review of this, but knowing that people may have not watched everything yet, it's hard to give away things. But I'm assuming, let's just say this. If you don't want a WandaVision spoiler, go ahead and fast forward the next couple of minutes here. But the last episode is called series finale, not season finale, but series finale. So it makes me think that it's a one and done thing. But the other thing, it seems so clever the way that Disney has set up a TV series to bridge the gap between Avengers Endgame to what's next for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What is it called? Phase 4, or
Yep.
what do they do? Phases or Part 4 or whatever. So I think that they've done a really clever job of bringing us all over to this new world of the Marvel Cinematic Universe post Avengers Endgame that keeps us interested. Because again, I didn't know that it was going to do this, but it has revitalized and invigorated my wife and I's fandom of Marvel to the point where now we're turning into like pretty big fans of the entire Marvel series. Whereas for the last decade, we'll just go see a movie a year and kind of be like, okay, that was a good movie. We'll wait for the next one to come out. But it sucked me in. So I think my personal opinion that the series finale was indeed the series finale. But the whole show did a good job of a lot of cloak and dagger stuff to make us think one thing while they were doing something else. So maybe they're just pulling the wool over my eyes on this one as well.
Well, it's got me ready for Falcon and Winter Soldier,
Yes.
Loki, these other series coming out. I've also gone back. My wife and I are watching Agent Carter. We're almost finished with season 2 of that.
Cool.
So loving all this. And yes, I think this is the end of WandaVision. Now, one thing that I read, Kevin Feige, who runs the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
He's like the executive producer over all of Marvel movies. Yeah.
Yeah. He was saying we purposely don't close the door on anything so that we can always go back and explore that avenue later. So could there be another WandaVision? Maybe. But I do feel, without giving anything away, that the last episode really kind of tied things up, and it's ready to launch phase 4 with new Marvel movies. However they decide to go with that. Yeah. So it was fun while it lasted. It was really clever how they did WandaVision. I'm going to have to go back and watch it again when I get a little bit of time.
And just saying that, like, also a clever way of trying to bring in, like, my love of both Vision and Wanda Maximoff were pretty low as far as characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe until WandaVision, and now they are some of my favorite characters. And so I thought that they did a good job of, maybe someone will invest 30 minutes to watch an episode of WandaVision to kind of pull them into the world, whereas they may have had a drop off from such an epic Avengers Endgame with all these other Avengers movies leading up to that final movie, and then for the next movie to be some sort of Wanda and Vision movie. Because if you take all the episodes and merge them together, they make a pretty good length of a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. Yeah. But maybe spreading them out on it, like as a TV show, not only can play with the genre that they were playing with, but it allowed people like me to become fans of these smaller characters to get ready for what's to come. Again, I think that Disney did a good job of bringing a casual Marvel fan to the next level of Marvel fandom.
I'm right there with you. Never owned a Marvel comic book. Familiar with Iron Man, the Hulk, Captain America a little bit. Familiar with some of these superheroes, but not to the extent that I am now. You know, I know comic book junkies are probably going to get mad. You know, you don't know the whole story. It's the book's always better. I get it. But it's been a blast getting to jump into this Marvel universe through the MCU. But Chris, lots of cool information coming out from Disney. Disneyland's set to open back up, hopefully in a few weeks. Disney World is at max reduced capacity for spring break.
Yeah.
Raya and the Last Dragon combined with WandaVision crashing Disney Plus. There's been a lot going on in the last week or so in Disney news.
Yeah. And just in closing with all of this, I saw a quick article saying that Bob Chapek, the Disney president, received really high marks and for the last year of how he handled everything with the pandemic. And essentially the fact that he didn't drive it off of a cliff allows him to have a really good grade, even though the Disney parks lost a lot of money. But Disney Plus seems to be a raving success. And I think that that's another reason for their good fortunes. But thank goodness, because I don't want to live in a world without Disney. And it seems like that they have navigated these murky waters pretty effectively. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what's next, not only in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but just the Disney universe altogether.
Absolutely. So if you've got thoughts, opinions on, do you think there's going to be a season 2? What do you think is going to happen with Disneyland? What do you think is going to happen with movie releases in the future? Yeah. You can email us podcast@themouseandmen.com. You can contact us through social media. You can find all that on themouseandmen.com. But Chris, as we say every week, you don't want to grow up too fast.
But you got to keep exploring.